I'm getting ready to work in this journal, and I was getting ready to do some decoupage or collage down on here. And I thought this was a good opportunity to talk about a studio practice of mine. These are my beloved, what I thought originally were that they were two flat wash brushes. And I thought they were a Studio 71 brand that I carry, but they are not, and I have no clue where I got them. And I've looked really close and I can just barely make out letters here. It looks like OEWCORNELL, but it's definitely a wash. Now this one is a wash. This is considered a glaze. And you can see the only difference really is the length of it, and it's hard to tell because these are so old, but possibly the bristle count. This one seems to have a little bit more give to it than this one does. It could also be because it has gunk up into here. I have been using these brushes, love these brushes for using with my mediums. Very well loved, but definitely at the end of their time frame. I prefer to use these synthetic bristles with a stiffer bristle than I do when I paint. When I paint, I generally, well, this one's not clean, I generally go for a filbert, and they have a much softer give to them. This is a large one, here's a smaller one, but these are filberts. Both of these are royal. Look, nickel. I actually prefer to use the Simply Simmons, but my filberts are all dirty. So, as well as this one. So I've been trying to find a replacer for these. Because I prefer to use these for my mediums, and they need to be retired, especially this one. So I do also really like the Princeton brand of brushes, and the Selects. And I found a flat wash. I actually bought 3 of them, so that in case I couldn't find them again. So I found a flat wash. They're stiff. Now, possibly this one wasn't as stiff as it is because it's now all caked with paint. But I'm going to give them a try today and see how I like them. This is the 3/4. If I like these, I can get these into the store. I'll probably carry a 1 inch and a 1/2 inch. So kind of a little bit larger than this or a little bit smaller than this one, but that's probably what I'll carry because I would have liked to have been able to get this in a 1 inch, because that's one thing I didn't like about this was that it's a 3/4 inch. So we're gonna give this a try today when I'm decoupaging. So let's see how that goes. So the reasons I choose to use a different and a dedicated brush for my mediums is because I have found that mediums are really hard on my brushes. They are sometimes very textured and can create some pretty brittle brush tips and frayed brush tips. So I prefer to use a dedicated brush for all my mediums, and I want to try and find something that's more universal. So that's why I am going through this search of went through this search of trying to find something to replace what I had been using. For me, this is what works in my studio. Okay, so what I've noticed is there's a lot more clay in this bristle, which I really like for getting down this medium. So I'm thinking that it was high time I retire this. This one has a little bit left. I think I can get away with using this one for a little bit longer. This is the one I generally used with like black mediums. You can tell by the discoloration. But I really like the length of this. This is similar to this. It's only a hair shorter than this brush was. I really like the length. It fits in my hand well. I prefer the coated handles because I have a tendency to leave my brushes in my water for too long. And thus what happens is generally the paint chips off, the wood starts to split, and it weakens this point here between the head and the handle. And what I found in these 3 brands, which are my preferred brands, is that doesn't happen, because this handle is coated generally with a plastic rather than a paint. And it seems like this neck is a lot better sealed on these 3 brands. So these really are my 3 favorite brands that I try and stick to. They are more expensive, hence why I started carrying the Studio 71 brand, which is a plastic handle. This isn't as nice of a seal here, but these brushes, and I do carry them in the natural bristle as well as the synthetic bristle, but I have found that the Studio 71 is a good brush to start with until you find out what shape, what size, what kind of bristle, what kind of what you like about brushes. So it's a good place to start. It's not an expensive place to start, and it gives you a good range painting. So anyways, so I do carry these in here. I'll go get them. So I do carry the Studio 71s in the natural hair, which is good for watercolor and acrylics, and then I also carry them in the nylon, the white nylon, which I do like these as well. So I have been pretty happy with them. The natural hair brushes are a plastic base. The white nylon is a wood base. So it there's the opportunity for this to peel off eventually if you're like me and have a hard time remembering to pull your paintbrushes out of water. But that is, and I do have these in the store right now, the Princetons, in the 1-inch size, or no, in the 1/2-inch size. But I'm gonna be getting them in the 1-inch size. So, just a little bit of information about my studio practices and why I do the things that I do. Why I use the things that I use. So I prefer to save my more expensive brushes for and this shape, the filbert, because that's what I prefer to use when I'm painting. But for my mediums, this has been a good type of a brush. Anyways, hopefully that helps you make decisions.